Well, hope you guys are having a good Thursday and excited about what the Lord's doing. Today is now day 2 of trying to see God do something special in our country, and we're trying to see God help us to turn the tide and help us to turn away from the direction that we're going as a nation, and then coming back to God again. Yesterday, we looked at and discussed about just for a few moments on the importance of preparing our heart and making sure that we are not hard-hearted and cold-hearted to the things of God, and making sure that we are tender and our hearts are soft to God convicting us, to God challenging us, to God leading us in any way that He sees fit. And He has the complete and total right to do that because He's God. And if you're saved, obviously He's your Savior. And so He owns us, and hallelujah for that. But today, we're going to look at the problem. The problem. Now, obviously, our nation is drifting away from what the Bible tells us to do as just people in general, but what God laid out in His Word for a civil government, for what God laid out for the family, what God laid out for individuals. And somebody visited our country years and years ago and made this statement about America. America is great because America is good. And when he was talking about good, he was talking about the good moral actions, good moral people. And he said, America is great because America is good. When America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. Now, I'm not much of a political basher type of person, but one of the presidency or one of the candidates say that he's going to make America great again. Well, let's get the people good again, and that'll get our country great again. Let's have morals. Let's be back to where we are a God-centered country. We are still, according to our pledges and everything like that, that we are still a nation under God. And I know that we are giving that lip service, but our actions are not proving that by what we do and by what we say and by what we accept as a country, and what we're basically not necessarily what we're saying is the problem, because a lot of times we are saying the right things, but a lot of our actions are not following up the right way. But here's the problem with our country: it is the leadership. Yes, the president is the leader of our country. Yes, the politicians are the leadership of our country. But I want you to understand, as the leaders go, the fellowship will obviously go that direction also, right? So where the leaders go, the fellowship will follow. That's just standard, right? But here's what I need you to understand. I think we all need to understand this: that the reason why America was good was because the churches of America were on fire for God and standing for moral truth, standing for holiness, standing for righteousness, preaching the gospel to the lost and dying world. And the reason why America was great was because America was good, because Christians were obeying, living according to biblical truth. Excuse me. So here's what I want you to understand: the problem with America is not the leadership, in the sense of the presidency. He is only one man in the grand scheme of things. The problem with America is God's people that live in America are not living like God's people. That includes me. I need to make sure that I'm right with God, and that includes you. And so the problem with America is there is backslidden Christians that need to see revival in their heart. Yes, I understand that there is votes that happen. Yes, I understand that obviously the president makes decisions, but God says righteousness exalted a nation, and but sin is a reproach to any people. And listen, one man might be standing for a wrong direction, and he says this, and it kind of goes that direction. But just because he says it does not mean that that is what the majority of America stands for. Just to use this as an example, when Obama forced, and with the Supreme Court forced, legalization of sodomite marriages, listen, that was not the desire of the people. Now it's being forced down our throats, but that was not what the majority of the people want. Now let me back up and bring this personal for us just a moment. What we need to understand as Christians, the only thing that is going to make America great again is for America to become righteous again and do right. And it starts, listen, with God's people. So the problem with America is a problem with backslidden Christians. Now, with us understanding that, I hope that you have a desire to be right with God. But also, I hope with that thought, with the problem with America as God's people, is that you will be willing to seek your heart even more today than you did yesterday, because you want to make sure that you are right with the Lord, and ask God and seek God to help send revival in your heart, and then pray that God will spread that revival out from yourself to other people as well. So, July 3rd is the day that we're going to pray and fast. I would challenge you, if you cannot fast that day just because of obligations that you have, or things maybe that you already have set up for the weekend. I understand it, but man, if you can set some time aside and pray and seek God's face, if you're a pastor and you can organize it where you can spend a little bit extra time in prayer, maybe one of the services, or have another time set up where you can be praying for our country. We need God in our country. Again, we need to be a nation that doesn't give lip service to that submission under God, but also in our action. And we need to have God's people praying all across our country and asking and seeking God's face for revival. Okay, so here's what I want to challenge you today. Again, search your heart. Ask God to reveal anything that is keeping and hindering your relationship with the Lord, and ask God if there's any coldness of your heart, and then confess that as sin. But then recognize that, look across the Christian landscape in America. By a majority, how much of them are concerned with being righteous? How much are they concerned about being holy and right with God? Because that's the problem. And then we can do something about that when we realize and recognize the problem. I mean, we can say that there is no issue, and we can put our head in the sand and say, well, it's just the way that the world's going. It's just the end of the time, the last days. That's the end times and all that. And I understand that. But God can and will send revival if God's people seek His face. Okay, so today, recognize the problem, and it's us. We need to get right with God. What I'll do is I'll send a link for us of what we want to be praying for in a little article, and I hope you look at that and use that to be praying very specifically for our country leading up to July 3rd, and then on July 3rd, be praying and fasting if you're able to. So hope you guys have a great day today. God bless you.